So this is your life to live. This is your life to love. This is your life to explore. We have not come here to play small. And I'm here to offer these teachings, the tools, and the processes. So I welcome you to 5 Keys to Awakening. It's a podcast show with your host, Dr. Rameet Singh, and celebrity host Jill Nicolini from New York Podcast.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
We are back here with Dr. Rameet Singh. Excited to have her here. This is her second time back on the show. And today we're going to start off by talking about 5 keys of awakening. That's right. The personal power, freedom to be the real you. All right. So let's talk today more about the title. It's personal power, right? The freedom to be the real you. So can you tell us a little about why it is important to speak about the subject and what do you want our listeners to know?
So, doing the work that I've been doing for over 12 years with my clients, this theme kept coming back again and again and again where people felt powerless in some part of their life. And the impacts of powerlessness is what really, I would say, causes a lot of suffering for us. And that would be something such as tolerating toxic behaviors from other people, to the point where you start to feel that your sense of safety and security is being corroded away. Consistently trying to please others and have them approve of you to the point that you start to get out of touch with your own self and who you are. And lastly, the impact of powerlessness is having dreams and aspirations, but feeling so afraid to do them because of the fear of failure, the self-doubts, the cascade of negative thoughts that come up in our subconscious mind when we're trying to pursue the things that are good for us. And so then we freeze and we don't move forward in our life and we feel stuck. So there's so many, impacts of powerlessness. And, powerlessness and self-doubts is often a narrative that runs in the background for many people. And so, I say that powerlessness is when the lack of belief in yourself is louder than the belief in yourself. And power, true power, is when the belief in yourself is louder than the lack of belief in yourself. And so we're always kind of juggling between these two worlds of mistrust, which comes from the survival mechanism, the trauma of our generations, and also this voice of personal love and personal power.
Please, Doctor, introduce yourself to our listeners today.
Yes. So my name is Dr. Rameet Singh. I'm a doctor of counseling psychology, a life coach, psychotherapist, and also a speaker and author. And what I specialize in is working with women in holistic mental health, where I integrate divine feminine healing along with psychology and spirituality.
It's hard to just separate that and say they're toxic, but you love them. So can you just give me an example of a toxic behavior?
Toxic behaviors can actually be really subtle, and we might be doing them to other people as well. And so toxic behaviors can be something very grand, like, emotional and verbal abuse. But the common toxic behaviors I find is very subtle. And that happens when somebody believes that you are the source of their well-being, their validation, and their worth. And we may feel that somebody else is the source of our validation, our well-being, and our worth. And so what happens is there's a lack of appropriate boundaries between me and the other person and yourself. And then there's expectations that the other person will put on you without recognizing where you really are. And so when there's expectations and there's projections upon you from the other person, because they are clouded by their own needs versus looking at, hey, where are you really? Where are you at with yourself? Then we feel like we are not being respected for our time, and we feel like we are not being understood for our needs. And so toxic behaviors can be something such as, I've just had a really tough week with the children, for example, and I'm going over to my sister or my mother's house, and they're asking me to do all these things. And generally I would say yes, but because I've had such a rough week, say with a child being sick, I can't give that. and you explain to them, hey, I just had a very sick child. I'm sorry. And there's a fight. So toxic behaviors at sometimes are not toxic. They're like, okay, yeah, I do this for my mom and for my sister, but at other times they can be toxic. So there's such a subtlety around, the toxic behaviors and tolerance of that.
Wow, thank you for sharing that. All right. So also, sorry to go off course, but it's important. So we're talking fear of taking action, pleasing others, and accommodating, right? And then we're going to talk a little bit about power as well.
Yes, absolutely. So I want to tell you a bit about how do you define power, because today's talk is all about personal power. And from the work that I've done on myself, really going into my own psyche and my own healing and my own places of powerlessness where I really felt like I can't do more, I can't achieve more, and feeling really discouraged, and almost times feeling a little helpless in life and hopeless, like, what's my purpose here? There's two definitions and two dimensions to power, Jill. And the first dimension is the ability to have clarity and discernment for what direction, what situation would serve your integrity, your value system, and your soul alignment. Okay, so that's the one dimension of power.
Mm-hmm.
And the second dimension of power is being able to have the awareness of what actions and the execution of personal will, i.e., letting my fire out, do I need to do to then fulfill what my clarity and my discernment says is the right thing to do? Mm-hmm. Now, I want to give you an example here because I love examples. We could have the second dimension, no problem. I can execute my will. I can work like a workhorse. I can do everything for everybody. And I'm executing my will in my actions towards doing this. But the first part might be missing, which is discernment and awareness, which is this going to really help me? Is this going to really help the world? Is this going to be really aligned with me? So many of us might be operating on the second dimension of power, which comes from people pleasing. They're telling me what to do and I'm doing it again and again. My partner is saying, hey, do this. I don't really want to, but I have my execution of power and will to do it. And then what ends up happening is instead of gaining power, we experience powerlessness because the first dimension is missing. So whenever we're executing action in a will and our fire to act, we have to have the first dimension, which is discernment. Is this supporting another person's ego needs? Is this supporting my true self? And why am I doing this? And when we can ask that question, then we can execute our action and our intentions with the direction that actually serves us the most.
Ah, I like that. Ooh, this is powerful stuff, sweetheart. I'm so excited we're here with you today. I'm learning. I hope our listeners and viewers are learning and really following along with this. Is great conversation because all this stuff with power, right, defines you and people. My gosh, there's so many challenges with this, the ego power, but there's so much more. Where do we go next? Yeah. What do you believe are your other challenges that people have with power? Because we see a lot of people, you say, under stress, a lot of stress and anxiety, especially since COVID and the pandemic, right? And feeling like they need to control parts of their lives. That includes work, relationships, guilty, yes. Many are tackling a peace of mind, lacking, I should say, a peace of mind, what does that have to do with power?
Yeah, great question. So why do people have challenges with power and why are we in a stressed and overwhelmed society? So the reason why we have problems with power is because we're operating from a dimension called ego power or false power. And this can be a very tricky dimension because it feels so real. It feels like we are operating power. But I want to clarify that effort is not the definition of power. Excessive mental activity is not true power. Excessive exertion and trying to control the environment and perfectionism is not true power. But we believe on the subconscious level in some way that I'm working harder, I must be executing my power, I must be in my power. So, ego power comes from the need to control the environment, the preoccupation with the goal or the subject matter or the relationship, whatever we're working on, a lack of boundaries and detachment from me and that goal, that thing that I'm pursuing. And as a result, when we're in the ego power, our life becomes imbalanced. And we start to feel, Jill, that all our energy and all our attention is being directed towards one little aspect of my life, like the work or the relationship or the boyfriend or the girlfriend. And then everything else about my life, my spirituality, my socialization, my pleasure, my play, my health, my adventure, my creativity takes the back burner, right? And so in ego power, it's like this ruthless energy that just wants to push so hard, but it starts to disregard the feminine, the yin, which is the part of the self that where there's emotions, there's pleasure, there's creativity, there's fulfillment. And so when the yin energy, the feminine part of all us, and men have this too, is beginning to be neglected because there's too much yang, too much power for control, then we start to feel the emotions of burnout, lack of satisfaction, unhappiness. So many of us are operating from false power, ego power, because we believe that that's how we will succeed. But there's a whole dimension of power, which we're going to talk about in a moment, a whole other realm of power where it's not about exertion, it's about receiving.
Ah, interesting. And what about lack of boundaries? That's a good one because just yeah, I feel like it's hard for people to put up boundaries to help create that personal space when it can insult someone.
That's a very good point. So, a lack of boundaries is when we are in a unhealthy relationship between the thing in front of us. And we're in relationship with everything, driving, work, people, food, everything is a relationship. So when we're in a lack of boundaries, we are concerned about the judgments or opinions of other people to the point where we start to give up what we needed to be intact and integrity with ourselves and centered with ourselves. Now, you said the point that people will be disappointed. Absolutely, they'll be disappointed. But that's where we must learn how to communicate effectively, effective communication. People are disappointed, and oftentimes we're afraid to be vulnerable. It goes hand in hand. Now, of course, there are people that will be disappointed even when you're vulnerable. And in that situation, if they're your friends, we have to ask the question, well, do I want to be around somebody that is not able to hold the space for vulnerability and authentic sharing? And sometimes we have family members and coworkers and we can't get away from them. And at that time, we have to be able to be okay with others being disappointed in us, because the chances are that if there's somebody in your life that's constantly disappointed in you for not meeting their needs, then you are in a cycle of giving your power away, and it's not worth it. It's not worth it. And I promise you that, and I've seen this in my life with coworkers, that as you begin to step into your power and create boundaries, they will actually respect you. Okay.
Well, the ones that don't, then what's the issue with that? Because not everyone will.
Absolutely. Well, I have found actually that it's really interesting. I have found in my life that the ones that don't start to, because the way you're treating yourself is how you're informing the field around you, the energy field around you, of how you command to be treated. And when others don't respect that, either they're insecure or they wish that they had the boundaries that you did, right? Yeah. So then you can see them with compassion, and you don't take it personally. And you have the freedom to say, who do I want to associate with, and what's the space that I want to create?
Wow. Oh my goodness. You're right. You're right. Let's continue. Where are we now? So we're talking here about the false power and energy. But what about freeing ourselves from false power in a sense? And how can we really step into our true personal power?
Yeah, great question. So, in order to free ourselves from this false power, I want to talk about stepping into true power. Has to do with being able to recognize your interconnection with the whole, and being able to recognize how the source of power is constantly operating in your life. See, back in the day, the ancient times, people remembered the interconnection that they had with all of nature. They remembered that that the forces of the great power are not just operating in nature and in the cosmos, but also within us. So there was a relationship we had with our ancestors and with the land and with our higher self. But what has happened over the years is we have kind of forgotten our interconnection with the whole. And because of that, we've lost the sense of power being a dance and a relationship where we are being supported and guided through the mystery, the unseen, right? And so because of that, we have taken this sense of I'm separate, I'm disconnected, I can't trust the mystery, I can't trust life, it's all on me, and I got to do this myself. And there's no space for the unseen, there's no space for the mystery, there's no space for spaciousness and allowing and receiving. So the first step is to begin to have a relationship with the whole and recognize your interconnection with the source of power by taking time out of your day and out of your life to pause and to meditate or to do the practices you need to do to come back to yourself, right? So that's the first practical step that we need to do. It's really about shifting. It's about shifting our consciousness and our perception of who we are to tap into true power, right? Now, the second thing that I want to say that one must do to begin to tap into personal power, and to talk about this in the Bhagavad Gita, that great yogic text about how to work with non-attachment, how to free yourself from the karma, the maya, the illusion of the world that can feel like it grips us so much so that we get enmeshed with everything outside of us and we don't realize who we are, is beginning to practice non-attachment to the outcome. And that might sound hard to do, but you begin to practice non-attachment to the outcome when you no longer have the outcome determine your worth and your value and your identity. When we are so attached to the outcome, it's often because we believe that the outcome will give us a sense of validation, worth, and value. And it basically make the outcome everything. And if the outcome crashes, our identity crashes. And, I've seen this with university students in the news where, a child is suicidal at age 18 because they didn't pass that exam, right? So much of the self is enmeshed with outcomes. And that's where we become very attached in false power. And so the teaching here, Jill, is how to disidentify and detach from the outcome has to do with beginning to recognize that you're more than the outcome. Again, it goes back to coming back to your true nature, right? So that's the second dimension of being in your true power.
Thank you so much. So it's exciting to have you here. We got to remind everyone who we're talking to how we could reach you. We still have more to talk about. So Dr. Rameet, share your website and information.
Yep. So you can reach me at my website, Dr. Rameet, Rameet, lovelife.com, drrameetlovelife.com. And on my website, you can look at ways to connect with me and also join me for a journey of feminine healing and transformation, which is the work that I do with women.
Beautiful. All right. So where are we now? We're still into our topic of conversation. If you are just tuning in here, personal power, freedom to be the real you, just so if you are wondering what we're talking about. And as a holistic life coach, Dr. Rameet's here talking about, this personal power and some setbacks, but also the good news is, we could really step into this personal power and do great things for ourselves. Right. So true power, we're talking about freeing ourselves from false power. How do you know what's true personal power? How do you it gets confusing.
Absolutely. Yes. So, as I was just mentioning, true personal power, when you're in true personal power, the task that you're doing no longer is a source of tension for you or stress for you. You're doing and you're acting when you're in true power from the place of surrender. Okay. Surrender, alignment, trust, and flow. And you're not preoccupied, most importantly, with the outcome or preoccupied with future thoughts. What's going to happen? Who's going to like this? Where is this going to go? Okay. Your work in your task is no longer robbing you of the present moment and a peace of mind when you are in true power. When you are in false power is going to look like the task at hand, the situation, the relationship robbing you of your peace and your present moment. And so that's why a lot of us are unhappy. There's depression, there's anxiety, So, as we work on being in that true power comes from being able to still your mind, being able to prioritize the pleasure and the joy of now, and being able to prioritize being in the present moment, and being able to prioritize finding the sense of who you are, not from what you're attached to or what you can achieve. Okay, and this for many will require a soul journey, but the sense of who you are coming from your own presence, from your own core self. When you can start to tap into that dimension of who you are, then you automatically summon true power. And when you summon true power, I want to really hit home with this point. When you are in true power, the things that you can do are much greater than what your ego can do. When you're in your personal power, the things that flow through you and what is manifested for you and around you is beyond what your mind can comprehend. And a lot of great masters and a lot of great teachers and a lot of great humans, when they operate from true power, that's when we can impact millions of people on the planet. Right?
Perfect. Oh, beautiful. Thank you so much.
I want to do a little process with everybody, a practical process where we can tap into the energy of true power, and I'll give it about 3 minutes. How does that sound?
Sounds good to me. Go for it.
Okay. So I'm going to have you all just place your hand over the solar plexus right above the belly button. This is called the Manipur chakra, the solar plexus chakra. And in the ancient yogic wisdom teaching, the solar plexus chakra is the place of power connected to the energy or the element of the sun. The color is gold and yellow. And as you place your hand there, I'm going to have you take a deep breath in. I'm going to have you visualize now that right above the top of your head is a brilliant sphere of golden light, like the bright sun hovering right above the top of your head. As you breathe in, you're breathing in a stream of golden light, a light ray pouring through the center of your body. As you exhale, feel that light ray falling right into the solar plexus, right above the belly button. Continue to do that for 3 more rounds. Breathing in, I feel the golden stream of light pouring through the center of my body. Breathing out, I feel this golden light strengthening the solar plexus, strengthening my personal power. Now you're going to visualize that brilliant ball of light is now resting right into your solar plexus. So now inside of you, internally, is that sun shining its bright light rays. Now you're just going to hear the sound of my voice, and you're going to hear these affirmations that I'm going to be saying to you. And as I say these affirmations, I want you to take them into your body, take them into your cells. I have permission to be powerful. I have permission to be powerful. See, a lot of times we are actually afraid to be powerful because we believe, what if we hurt others? What if we are too powerful? It's false. When you're in your power, you are actually capable of giving more love. When you are in your power, you're actually able to create greater change and have peace of mind. Second affirmation: I allow the source of power to flow through me. It is safe for me to surrender. I allow the source of power to flow through me. It is safe for me to surrender. So true power is also about yielding and allowing, and knowing that it's safe to surrender, to lean back, to be held, and to give yourself the permission to like nurture yourself. The last affirmation is, when I love myself, I am powerful. When I love myself, I am powerful. When I love myself, I am powerful. Because true power starts from self-love. Because when you love yourself, you take those action steps that align with you feeling powerful and feeling empowered. Begins by recognizing your worth and value. And that begins by giving yourself that love that you so much give to other people. And I invite you to take a deep breath in, seeing that ball of light, that sun shining in your solar plexus, and feeling the vibration of these affirmations, loosening up any limiting beliefs, dissolving them into the light of the golden sun, and see in your solar plexus and body and being the power of these affirmations, rewiring the brain, nervous system. And see that beautiful light of the sun in your belly, like a stream, a fountain of light moving up through the center of your body, up through the crown of your head, and connecting that light all the way up into the great central sun, your higher self. Now you are connected to the source of power. And I invite you to take your time to slowly come back into the room, slowly come back into into this very present moment, but taking this energy of personal power with you. Yes.
Thank you so much. We are out of time. Dr. Rameet Singh, remind us of how we can reach you one more time.
Yes, absolutely. A website, drrameet.com. And you can check out my offering called The True Feminine Rising, a 3-month journey with me, an online program where we work together and you get this beautiful curriculum of working with psychology, spirituality, and goddess work. So reach out, please. And lastly, you can check out my website. On my website, I have a little section called The Keys to Awakening. And on that section, you can find a gift for today, which is going to be a meditation for power that you can listen to and really tap into your power.
Thank you so much. Have a great day, sweetheart.
What keeps you limited and small? What has caged you? Break free from restrictions, access true feminine power, and live life on your own terms. If you've had the calling to go deep into your feminine awakening work, then learn about the True Feminine Rising program with Dr. Rameet, where we will integrate core belief system work, emotional processing, chakra healing, and goddess work, embody powerful goddess energy, and create life your way. To learn more, check out drrameet.com, drrameet.com, plus the bonus masterclass and ebook on Divine Feminine Power, The Energetic Journey. To access today's gift, which is a powerful guided meditation, please go to the website. On this page, you will find all the episodes. You'll be able to click today's episode and be able to download the guided meditation